Assalamu alaikum, family. This is Ryan X coming to you live. Hope you're having a blessed, wonderful day. A lot of people say today, with today being Friday, happy Friday. Well, happy Friday to you. This is the day that Allah has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. No matter if it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, no matter what day. This is a day that Allah has allowed us to see. And we're just thankful and grateful to Him for allowing us to see today. Hope you had a blessed and wonderful week. Hope everything's going well for you, as well as having a blessed and wonderful day. And in likelihood that you're having one of those days, always remember this. Tough times don't last, tough people do. Keep your hope, trust, and faith in Allah God, and He will see you through. I could definitely bear witness to that. So this morning, I saw on X and on Facebook that our dear sister, Assata Shakur, freedom fighter, revolutionary, a true definition of a soldier, or like the young people used to say years ago, a ride or die chick. But I'm not gonna say that for her. I'm not gonna uh, put that on her because ride or die chick. The way it's been used. It's she's that's above her. Ride or die chick is beneath her as far as I'm concerned. But she was a freedom fighter and a revolutionary, a true definition of a soldier. Well, she passed away this morning in Havana, Cuba, at the age of 78. May Allah be pleased with her. This sister here, she's not only was she the godmother of the late Tupac Shakur, who preceded her in death 29 years ago, but she did a lot for the freedom of Black people around the world. And I just want to do this video to pay tribute to her. She was on the FBI's top 10 most wanted list. I think she was the only woman to make that list. Domestic terrorist. She was considered a domestic terrorist. Isn't that funny? All these domestic terrorists we have now, and most of them are white men. They're white men. You can start with the police. A lot of them are domestic terrorists. People in government. Um, the guy that did the shooting that murdered Charlie Kirk. All these, all these are domestic terrorists. Timothy McVeigh was a domestic terrorist. Dylan Roof is the epitome of a domestic terrorist. The epitome. But this lady was on the FBI top 10 list. I think the only woman to make it. Hey, cuz, how's it going? Thank you for tuning in. Long time no hear from. Hope you're doing well. Hope everything's going good for you. Thank Allah that you're on here. My cousin on here, cool. So, but let me just give you an overview of Sister Shakur. Before I go any further, hit that thumbs up button, smash that thumbs up button now, hit the subscribe button so you get notifications whenever I do videos on here. So, Sister Assata Shakur was born Joanne Deborah Byron on July 16th, 1947, in Flushing, Queens, Flushing, New York City, in the borough of Queens, Flushing. She grew up in New York, but she was also grew up in Wilmington, North Carolina. Let me see. She became involved in political activism at Borough of Manhattan Community College and City College of New York. After graduation, she began using the name Assata Shakur and briefly joined the Black Panther Party before joining BLA, Black Liberation Army. Between 1971 and 1973, she was charged with several crimes and was the subject of a multi-state manhunt. In May 1973, Miss Shakur was arrested after being wounded in a shootout on the New Jersey Turnpike. Also involved in the shootout were officers Werner Forster and James Harper, and BLA members Sundiata Okolai and Zaid Malik Shakur. Harper was wounded, and Zaid Shakur and Forster were killed. Between 1973 and 1977, Shakur was charged with murder, attempted murder, armed robbery, and kidnapping. Let me repeat this. Between 1973 and 1977, 4-year period, this sister was charged with murder, attempted murder, armed robbery, and kidnapping in relation to the shootout and 6 other incidents. All those years, when she was pulled over on that turnpike, she maintained her innocence. The whole time she maintained her innocence. She said, there are a lot of things I did, but that wasn't one of them. And I believed her. I did. Because, and the only reason why they charged her was because it was a state trooper. She was charged with several crimes before this incident between 71 and 73, but they were all thrown out. Lack of evidence. They were all dismissed. It wasn't until the shootout on the New Jersey Turnpike with this cop. Oh well, she killed the cop, so she must have done it. Yeah, she done it. Okay, we know that the injustice system lies. They have told many lies. They have sent many brothers and sisters to the gulags on bogus charges, many of which are still in there now. Am I right or am I absolutely right? So I continue on. So, okay, between 1970, okay, and 6 other incidents. She was acquitted on 3 of the charges and 3 were dismissed. In 1977, she was convicted of the murder of State Trooper Forrester and of 7 other felonies related to the 1973 shootout. They couldn't get her on other crimes, but they convicted her of murdering State Trooper Forrester and 7 other felonies related to this incident in 1973. Her defense argued that medical evidence exonerated her, i.e., her right arm was shot and paralyzed while her hands were raised. I don't think y'all heard me. Her defense argued that medical evidence exonerated her, i.e., her right arm was shot and paralyzed. Shot and paralyzed while her hands were raised, and she would have been able to fire a weapon. But forget all that. It's a nigger woman who's shooting at a white cop. Never mind the fact her hands are raised. She's shot in the right arm. She can't shoot back. Never mind that. Somehow she still did it. Like the most honorable Elijah Muhammad always said, like he said decades ago, you can't fathom the mind of Satan. You can't. While serving a life sentence for murder in New Jersey's Clinton Correctional Facility for women, Shakur escaped in 1979 with assistance from the BLA and the May 19th Communist Organization. In 1984, she was granted political asylum in Cuba. Right on, Cuba. Salute. Where she had remained despite U.S. government efforts to have her extradited. In 2013, she was added to the FBI Most Wanted Terrorist List. FBI Most Wanted Terrorist List as Joanne Deborah Chesimard, and was the first woman on the list. And I mentioned that a couple of minutes ago. Shakur died on September 25th, 2025, at the age of 78 due to health problems and advanced age, according to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Cuba. So, the FBI most wanted terrorist list. Wow. Wow. You have all these terrorists running around here, but somehow she's a terrorist. She's a terrorist. You got all these politicians who are terrorists in suits. They create terror with the stroke of a pen, both Republican and Democrat. Mind you, I just said both Republican and Democrat lawmakers are terrorists in suits by a stroke of a pen. But this lady is on the top 10 most wanted terrorist list. Interesting. Interesting. Dylan Roof is a terrorist. They took him to Burger King. This terrorist skunk murdered 9 of our fellow brothers and sisters at the Emmanuel AME Church in Charleston, South Carolina, 10 years ago. They had a manhunt out for this devil. When they found him, when law enforcement found him, they put a bulletproof vest on the spawn of Satan and took him to Burger King to get a Whopper. I am not making this up. Y'all remember it 10 years ago. There's a judge in South Carolina. Professor Black Truth spoke about this early this morning. And shout out to Professor Black Truth for dropping the truth bombs. God, I love that dude. But there was a judge in South Carolina who, ironically enough, showed sympathy and was going to offer bail to Dylan Roof. Yes, the Dylan Roof that shot 9 of our fellow brothers and sisters, shot them dead in the church after they prayed for his skunk ass. He showed sympathy for him and was going to grant him bail. Well, ironically enough, this judge, I can't think of his name, but in South Carolina, he's been charged with not child pornography, but what was it? I could tell you here. Give me 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. Hit that thumbs up button. Smash that thumbs up button now. Hit the subscribe button so you get notifications whenever I do videos on here. I'll tell you what this terrorist judge was charged with. Check this out. Charged with child porn. With sharing, he was charged with possession of child porn by the feds. They found it at his home and in his chambers. This is a terrorist sitting on the bench. A judge. Needless to say, he's been suspended from the bench. He's facing charges. He's in jail right now. All praise is due to Allah for that. But this man was on the bench in possession of child porn, children being assaulted, whatever. I think that was one of that had something that was brought up too. But not only in possession in his chambers, but in his home. And these were babies, literally babies. 2-year-old children, 5-year-olds, newborns. You can't fathom the mind of Satan. A judge on the bench in South Carolina, y'all. A man who's supposed to, who's who was appointed by the people to give justice, to uphold the law, and he's a damn terrorist, a damn psychotic uh, pervert. But Sister Assata Shakur was a terrorist. Now, and the crazy part about it is this: she had her hands up. The New Jersey State police officer or state trooper, excuse me, they stopped her vehicle for a busted tail light, the old busted tail light trick. For a busted tail light, she complies with them. And by the way, if you ever stopped, please comply with the police. Don't get into a shootout with them unless you have to defend yourself. By any and all means, just comply with them. Don't give them a reason. And Sister Shakur did not give them a reason. She complied. She was shot in her arm, paralyzed. She turned around to get away to escape, and she was shot in the back. They shot her twice. So how was she able to return fire? Now, the people who were with her returned fire in self-defense. But the pigs shot first. They shot first. And the members of the Black Liberation Army, BLA, returned fire. One of them died, and the two troopers died. I think the two troopers died, yeah. But one of the BLA members died. But she was charged with the murder. And she had to flee to Cuba, a place where she probably didn't know anyone, a foreign country. And shout out to the late Fidel Castro for granting his sister political asylum. And that caused added tensions between the United States and Cuba. That we already had tensions with Cuba even before this, going back to the early 60s with the Cuban Missile Crisis. Our government was already at odds with Cuba. Already at odds with Cuba, going back to the Kennedy administration. And Brother Fidel Castro was an ally to the Black community. He was a friend of both Dr. King and Brother Malcolm X. Let me repeat myself. Brother Fidel Castro were friends with Brother Dr. King and Brother Malcolm X. He actually donated money to the civil rights movement. Yes, he did. That's why the COINTELPRO considered Dr. King to be a communist, Malcolm X too, because they had allies in Fidel Castro, an ally in Fidel Castro. And COINTELPRO couldn't have that. The FBI, J. Edgar Hoover, nah, no sirree. Nope. But yet they wouldn't go after the Klan. Interesting. Interesting. But so Sister Shakur, go back to this article here. I mentioned she attended Borough of Manhattan Community College and the City College of New York, and in the mid 1960s, where she became involved in many political activities, civil rights protests, and sit ins. She traces her interest in communism to a 1964 debate about the Vietnam War, with several African students attending Columbia University. She's quoted, I continued saying the first thing that came into my head, that the US was fighting communists because they wanted to take over everything. When someone asked me what communism was, I opened my mouth to answer, then realized I didn't have the faintest idea. My image of a communist came from a cartoon. It was a spy with a black trench coat and a black hat pulled down over his face, slinking around corners. I felt like a bona fide clown. I knew I didn't know what the hell communism was, and yet I've been dead set against it. I never forgot that day. Only a fool lets somebody else tell him who his enemy is. Let me repeat that last statement there. Only a fool lets somebody else tell him who his enemy is. That is a profound statement if I don't know what is. In 1967, she was arrested for the first time with 100 other BMCC students on charges of trespassing. The students had chained and locked the entrance to a college building to protest the low numbers of black faculty and lack of a black studies program. Right on, Sister Shakur. Right on. Rest in power, my sister. I'm going to skip down here. Shakur joined the Black Liberation Army, BLA, an offshoot whose members were inspired by the Viet Cong and the Algerian independence fighters of the Battle of Algiers. They mounted a campaign of guerrilla activities against the U.S. government using such tactics as planting bombs, holding up banks, and murdering drug dealers and police. Murdering drug dealers and police. She began using the name Assata Oligbola, Asala Oligbala Shakur, Assata Oligbala Shakur in 1971, rejecting Joanne Chesimard as a slave name. Right on. Let me read that again. She began using the name Assata Oligbala Shakur in 1971, rejecting Joanne Chesimard as a slave name. Right on, sister. Assata is a West African name derived from Aisha, said to mean she who struggles, while Shakur means thankful one in Arabic. Aligbala means savior in Yoruba. She identified as an African and felt her old name no longer fit. It sounded so strange when people called me Joanne. It really had nothing to do with me. I didn't feel like no Joanne, or no Negro, or no American. I felt like an African woman. Right on. Oh my gosh. We need more like her. We need more like her. Need more like her. People who are going to risk their lives for the liberation of black people. People who are going to risk their lives for the freedom, justice, and equality. Let me repeat that. For the freedom, justice, and equality of black people everywhere. Not just here in America, but everywhere. No Jasmine Crockett's. And no, and this isn't a slight on her. She doing her thing. In the Democratic Party, whatever. I don't agree with it, but she's not fighting for the freedom, justice, and equality of black people. Neither is Candace Owens. Neither is Mayor Sherelle Parker, the mayor of Philadelphia. Neither did Lori Lightfoot, who was the mayor of Chicago, was the mayor of Chicago before this current mayor, Brandon Johnson. And that Negro, don't get me started on him. Neither is Karen Bass, who's currently the mayor of Los Angeles, Democrat. It don't matter if they're blacks in the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. They're not fighting for the freedom, justice, and equality of black people. They're just not. Let's keep it 1,000. They're not. Sister Assata Shakur, she fought against the system because the system was against us. We need more like her. It's by no accident that her and Afeni Shakur were sisters. Not biological sisters, but were sisters in the struggle, in the freedom movement, and in spirit. It's by no accident that she was the godmother of the late, great Tupac Shakur. No accident. Tupac was born. He was birthed into the movement. His mother was Afeni Shakur, who preceded Sister Assata Shakur in death. I think Mrs. Afeni Shakur passed 8 years ago in 2017. She was pregnant with Tupac while she was in jail, pregnant, and gave birth in jail. So Tupac was the enemy of this government even from birth, from the cradle to the grave. He had a song, From the Cradle to the Grave. Life ain't never been easy, living in the ghetto. Y'all remember that? From the cradle to the grave with the Outlaws. So there you have it. It's by no accident. Allah is the best of planners. God, man. This lady was a soldier. She was a soldier. Soldier. A revolutionary. May she rest in power. May Allah be pleased with her. My condolences go out to her surviving family members. She was a great woman. Like I said, as far as I'm concerned, she was a modern day Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman was a freedom rider, a revolutionary. And Sister Assata Shakur just embodied her spirit. She did. Harriet Tubman wanted freedom, justice, and equality for our people. This is what Sister Harriet Tubman wanted. And Sister Assata Shakur just embodied that. Rest in power, dear sister, rest in power. We will always carry your memory. But like I said, she was a threat to COINTELPRO. And any black person or any person who's a threat to COINTELPRO, even now, because let's be real, COINTELPRO still exists. It's not just something of the past. Oh, it just goes to the past. We could put it behind us now. In 2025, damn near in 2026, it's something of the past. No, 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 no. Don't be fooled. Do not be fooled, my dear brothers and sisters. In this age of technology, where technology has advanced so much since the 1960s, COINTELPRO is alive and well. It is alive and well. And I can't just imagine when Sister Shakur was on the run, when she escaped to Cuba, knowing that she couldn't call her family, check on her family. She couldn't write letters because it would have been traced. Her phone, would have tapped the phones of her relatives here in the States. You can't fathom the mind of Satan. They would have tapped her phones and traced and intercepted those letters and found where she was at and tried to extradite her back to the United States to face charges. As a matter of fact, when Donald Trump was president the first time around, he wanted to go into Cuba and extradite her. Do y'all remember that? When Donald Trump was president the first time around, he wanted to go into Cuba and extradite our dear sister, Sister Assata Shakur. But as Allah would have it, he wasn't able to do it. All praises are due to Allah. So there you have it. Again, Sister Shakur makes you rest in power. We know that she didn't kill those officers. Those are some trumped up charges. They have always done it to our people. They have tried to they make up lies. The same like they did to Mahmoud Abu Jamal, who's in poor health now. I hope that brother gets released. Mahmoud Abdul Jamal. He was convicted in 1981 of murdering a Philadelphia police officer. And he's been in prison for 44 years, almost 45 years. Mahmoud Abu Jamal. Let's remember him. He's in poor health now. So hopefully he gets out before he makes his transition. So it's wow. Wow. And we lost our dear brother Matula Shakur 2 years ago. So but yeah, hopefully hope and pray that Mahmoud Abu Jamal gets out soon and very soon. There have been petitions, but the state of Pennsylvania is just so ardent, want to keep this man locked up until his dying days. So we'll see how that goes. Hit that thumbs up button, smash the thumbs up button now. Hit the subscribe button so you get notifications whenever I do videos on here. I'm gonna hop off of here for now, but let's remember our dear sister, Sister Assata Shakur. She was a revolutionary, a freedom fighter, a soldier. So let's remember her. May she rest in power. And my condolences to her surviving cohorts and family members. May Allah grant them peace and consolation in this time of sorrow. And may Allah be pleased with our dear sister, Sister Assata Shakur. So, share this video, share it, share it, share it, share it, flood the algorithm with it. Let's have the conversation. This is one of our heroes. Like the sister said, where's that statement at? I'm gonna find that again. Sorry, this is Assata Shakur. Yeah. Like she said, I have to read this again because this really struck me as powerful. I gotta read this again. Okay. Like she said, only a fool will allow someone who tell him who his enemy is. Only a fool lets somebody else tell him who his enemy is. And only a fool also lets somebody else tells him who his heroes are or them. Only a fool. Why do we allow these people to tell us who our heroes should be? We shouldn't allow it because they damn sure don't allow us to tell them who their heroes are, but we allow them to tell us who our heroes should be. No, Assata Shakur is a hero. We need to tell our children about her. Do y'all hear me? We need to tell our children about Sister Assata Shakur and teach them about her. Hold her up in the annals of our history. So please share this video. Flood the algorithm with it. Let's have the conversation. Let's have it. I know that there's going to be people who disagree with me. I already know because it's about a black woman who was a liberator, who was a freedom fighter, who was a revolutionary, a hero, and people are going to feel some type of way. Hey, I can't help that. Let them feel let them feel whatever way they want to feel. We know what's up. But in the likelihood that they disagree with me, that's fine and dandy. All I ask is let's agree to disagree without being disagreeable. Let's agree to disagree without being disagreeable. And in our disagreements, let's use logic, common sense, facts, and respect, not emotion and disrespect. That'll get you nowhere, especially on a subject such as this. So keep that in mind. Share this video, share it, hit that thumbs up button, smash that thumbs up button now. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and my future projects. I was supposed to do an interview today, but circumstances beyond my control wouldn't allow it. But in any event, I'm going to start doing interviews. So support my YouTube channel and my future projects. And I thank y'all for rocking with me for all these years. Thank you for hanging in there with your brother and continue to do so. I don't take your love and support for granted, and I love y'all immensely. So please continue to rock with your brother. Brothers as well as sisters, y'all be safe out here. The weekend is upon us, so beware and be aware. No matter what you're doing, if you're going to work, if you're working this weekend, if you're going to work, coming home from work, if you dropped your kids off at school this morning and picked them up, running errands, going on vacation, whatever the case may be, or you're just at home, just doing nothing, just want to watch college football, whatever the case may be, beware and be aware because Satan comes to kill, steal, and destroy now more than ever before. So we cannot fall asleep at the wheel in this hour. We have always got to be on the alert. Always. General order number 2 for those of us in the Nation of Islam. I love y'all. Have a blessed and wonderful day. Have a blessed and wonderful weekend. I will talk to y'all sooner than later. Inshallah. I love y'all. I'm out. Assalamu alaikum.